Shalom, shalom. There's no way of me checking, you know, my my audio. So I'm hoping that this audio is sounding good. I know I'm in an area it's kind of congested. Just want to come to a little spot that I know of. Kick the word. Hey, shalom. May I always tell your neighbor, my God, the water, brother. I appreciate it. Just wanted to come and speak on a couple of things. Things are heating up, and we know it's about to be like a time like no other. So, it's like, how can we get ourselves ready for a time like no other? You know, and the scriptures, you know, give us understanding on what we must do. Because, what we're dealing with is something that has not been seen on the planet Earth, with the erection of AI, with a technocracy, the worshiping of technology, data centers being erected, which is going to pollute the earth at a substantial rate, the privatizing, natural resources, something like water. We have to pay for water, and it's going to be even more intimate, as, water gets more scarce in the near future. Again, with this, the erection of these data centers, it's, taken away from the people drinking water. Okay, so this is going to have an effect on our everyday lives, brothers. It's going to have effect on you know the price of certain goods. Okay, you know pricing of certain goods is going to be specialized based on the individual with AI. That's why you're starting to see a lot of these a lot of these pricing on certain items. If you go into a store, a lot of it you're starting to see it's starting to show as a barcode, because in the near future, when you go in and you scan something, that price is going to be specialized on you. All right. Say for instance, if you're a man that like red wine, like myself, all right, the data, these various data centers are going to collect my data, will collect my data, and the pricing on certain red wines that I like will be higher than the individual doesn't drink as much, because it's those something that I prefer. So they're able to cut some certain pricing, right? So they're capitalizing off of people's lust desires on a very intimate level with AI. And we're gonna see this in the near future, making it like a time like no other. Okay. As I'm speaking, think about this. Daniel 12:1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be written, that shall be found written in the book. So the angels, in particular Michael, the archangel, he's going to have to basically uh, make intersection for us, man, because of uh, the iniquity that we're going to see on the face of the earth. Because it's going to be like a time like no other. America's entering into a big war. I don't think the masses, understand the severity of the war that America is ensuing right now. Now, my elder Ariala here in Dallas, said, hey, this could be just them, you know, crashing the system to enter into, for them to, bring on the MOTB, which is something that's possible. We know that China, is uh, a big buyer, I should say, of Iran's crude oil. And they have certain pacts with one another. With them buying, Iran's crude oil, they're saving billions of dollars annually. So this could be a way in which China is, dragged into a war. You got to think, they're in a nutshell building a new Silk Road, utilizing Iran. And if America is able to, put a stronghold or to take over these natural resources, man, that's going to set them as continue to be, the world power. And these other nations, case in point, BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South America, they're trying to get away from the grip of the American dollar. Okay, so this could cause China to get involved. This could cause Russia to get involved. We have to sit back and see, But we're definitely living in some interesting times. There's no going back to normal, whatever that is. There is no, sense of normalcy here for the average American, man, is death, right? But living comfortable, what I mean by is living comfortably in America is a thing of the past, brothers. And that's something that we have to get adapted to. So how can we get ready for the times that we know that's coming? And we've been prophesying for it to get bad out here. So we know that it's going to get bad out here, right? We understand that. How can we get ready for the said prayers? Well, the answer would be fasting. Okay, fasting. Fasting is, gets us closer to the Heavenly Father. Fasting gets purges certain things out of us, right? Fasting gets us used to not drinking, used to not depending on these chemicals to make us happy. Because essentially the food that we eat is nothing but prison food. It's ultra processed food. That's tastes great, but uh, nutrition wise has little to no value. In fact, it's poison, right? Right. In times of stress, people like to stress eat. People like to drink. Well, you're not going to be able to do that in the near future. You're not going to be able to eat, drink, be merry and happy and all that because simply you can't afford it, or it's not going to be readily available. And a lot of people in the world, they're going to bug the fuck out. They're going to bug out, right? And with them being unsure and believing in their place, they're going to be induced to take that mark of the beast. Let me get this. I'm speaking about, as I'm speaking, I'm thinking about this. I've been bringing this scripture out often in Luke 21. Let's see here if I can find it right quick. I want to say it's 35, but let me look. Okay, it's actually 26. Luke 21. Hopefully I say 25 when I started. Luke 21, and I started at 25. And there shall be signs in the suns, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth's stress of nations with perplexity. The sea and the waves roaring. Man's hearts failing them for fear. So a lot of people, the hearts or their mind is going to fail them that day because of the fear, because of them not spiritually get themselves together for the said perils, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken, right? And how is heaven going to be shaken? With thermonuclear destruction, man. That's already happening, in the Middle East. You had Jake over there in Dubai, you know what I'm saying? They basically, in a parking lot, scared at their damn mind. Like, damn, I can't believe this is happening right now. I can't believe that, that the bombs are actually going off. It was a brother and a sister, I believe there was a couple out there in Dubai. They was astonished, right? Now, imagine 2 weeks stranded over there, not eating. Their hearts are going to fail them, and their minds are going to fail them because they weren't spiritually getting themselves together for what's going on right now, what they're in the middle of right now. And what you see going on over there, we know eventually it's going to come over here, right? Perplexity, right? A lack of food. There were distress in what we just read in Luke 21 and 25. I believe it's that word distress go to schizo. It's like if I'm saying wrong. The root word, one of the definitions basically means, placing a cattle into an area where you can squeeze it so you can administer medicine to it, right? And this is what they're about to do to the masses. The big squeeze is on you Americans, on you big back Americans, man. Right? Food's not gonna be readily available. You're not gonna be able to parlay and toss up and all that. None of that shit. It's like it's going to that another that next level, right? Which we've been prophesying about. So we're in a beautiful situation, Akia, right? We've been toiling in this thing, right? Growing and continue growing in this thing, man. Right? That's why, a huge key a tool that we could utilize is fasting. Now, this sermon here is actually centered around Joel, the first chapter, because you had Joel, basically giving warning and say, hey, you got to get ready for, you said perils that's about to happen. And one way in which we can get ready is fasting. I actually wanted to read a little bit about the historical background of Joel out of my study Bible, so we could give kind of a historical understanding on why Joel was so fervent about calling for fasting, if you will. Now, this is according to my study Bible. It says Joel is a highly emotional prophet, rich in imaginary and vivid description, and two unique events not to be forgotten are prepared. These two events are to be communicated to the descendants of the people. Historical setting. Joel was one of the earliest prophets of Judah. The specific place from which Joel wrote is not known. Since he was a resident of Judah in Jerusalem, he likely wrote his prophecy from there. His frequent calls to blow a trumpet in Zion, to consecrate a fast, to proclaim a solemn assembly, and to gather the people together to come before the Lord, led credence to the view that the prophecy was issued from the temple court. The two events are compared in the course of Joel's prophecy: the locust plague upon Judah in the days of the prophet, and to the far greater coming day of the Lord. The latter is set forth in the figure in the figure of the former. Joel is the special prophet of the day of the Lord. He's mentioned in 5 times. He's mentioned 5 times. Excuse me. Joel has also been called the prophet of Pentecost because of his famous and well-known passage, uh, 2 Joel 2, 28-32, with going into how, in the last days, uh, your daughters, uh, basically, let me get it. I'm butchering it right now. Um, and you guys will notice it as soon as I read it. Joel 2 and 28. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and young man shall dream dreams, and young man shall see visions. Right? So we come into times where, you know, um, people are getting visions. People are seeing the destruction of this place, seeing the deliverance. All these are signs that the Lord is coming back. That's why it's very important for us to individually get ourselves together. And a huge tool that we could utilize is fasting. This is what Joel, I should say, was saying to Israel, to the Southern. Like, look, man, you know, resources are about to be eaten up, and he was using the locusts as a way to symbolize, basically a famine. Because in the ancient world, if you basically look at how they form, they would have to first have somebody out there, beating on the crops to basically deter the locusts from eating the crops up. Now, if you had a bad infestation, man, you have to have a long harvest. You know what I mean? One that's not productive. Well, a harvest is a scarce harvest is coming here to Babylon the Great, with all the, these attacks going on and things of that nature. It's going to affect us. Okay, yes, it's affected China, but who's our number one exporter, right? That we utilize for cheap goods. China. This will affect us. Okay, so getting ourselves together, fasting, having constraint about what we eat, drink. That's going to be very important in the times that we're living in. So let's start. Let's start with Job. All right. It says we'll start at 1. Job 1:1. The word of Yahweh that came to Job, the son of Pethuel. Hear this, ye old men, and give ear, all ye inhabitants of the land. Hath this been in your days, or even in the days of your father? Tell ye your children of it, and let your children tell their children, and their children another generation. So he's like, look, has this ever happened before? Right? What's going on? You can be your kids are gonna be talking about this. Hey, how much more so for what we see about to ensue? World War III. Y'all, this is gonna be a war like no other, brothers. Right now, even the whole introduction of drones to the battlefield, that is changing how warfare is carried out. And the drone gonna be an unmanned airplane, an unmanned, ship, So it's gonna be shorter skirmishes out there. People gonna have to disarm these damn things, So it's, it's modifying warfare. We ain't even scratched the surface about of what we about to see. You know, you got Ukraine. Um, you know, they're bringing out humanoids on the battlefield. Now they're just there to help clear out certain buildings and things of that nature. But that's a new thing on the earth, bro. Right now, what if China? We know they're going to get involved. China get involved with their advanced humanoids that they have, out there, fighting on the battlefield. Man, it's going to be something crazy, man. We're going to see some wild stuff, brother. Right? So getting ourselves together for that, is very important. That's why fasting is so important. You know, right? Verse 4, that which the palmer word have left has the locust eaten, and that which the locust hath left hath the cankerworm eaten, and that which the cankerworm had left hath the caterpillar eaten. Now, I did a little research on what spiritually as a symbolizes. It symbolizes transformation, abundance, and duality of creation and destruction, often prompting individuals to embrace change and adaptability in their lives. Right? So this is why Joe utilized it. Like, look, with these changes going on earth, you're gonna have to embrace adaptability. Well, that's what we're gonna have to do. Okay? We have to embrace the unknown. Because a lot of stuff is going to be unknown. Patience is going to be tested. Right? We're going to be tested on a higher level, bro. It's going down, man. That's why I'm trying to get it together while we still have somewhat of a grace period is so important. And bringing it back to, the main point, how can we get ourselves together? Hope, well, by fasting. Okay? I wanted to read a little bit in this study Bible about these various types of locusts that we just read about in the fourth verse there in Joel. It says, the verse describes the devastation of locust plague. Moses prophesied that the Most High would use locusts to punish his people if they were disobedient. Deuteronomy 28, 38 to 42. 38 and 42, excuse me. The language may express the four stages in the development of a single type of insect. The palmer worm, Gazam tunal, is the stage at which the locust is first hatched and is characterized by its non-activity. The locust, Ardban, to be many, is the most common name for the locust. And in the second stage, in which the locust gets its wings and flies, the cankerworm, right? This is year, so excuse me. I'm adding the A. Hopefully, I'm saying it right. Lag, to lick off, is the stage in which it does its devastation work, destructive work. The caterpillar, Kasal, to devour or to consume, is the final stage in which the locust reaches its full growth and devours everything in its path. Right. So right now, what are we seeing? We're seeing the closing of the Straits of Hormuz, which is going to people, brothers and saying, is going to affect the pricing of oil. And what with the raise in prices of oil, what do you think that's going to affect, brothers? Right? What one industry is going to be affected? The transportation industry, which is already in shambles. Okay? You got the owner operators, man. They got to park them trucks, bro. They got to get out the trucks to go work for somebody because it's too expensive out here. Right? So that could be a way in which, certain goods are not delivered at a timely fashion because people are opting out. You know what I'm saying? Like the brother said, literally everything, right? You going to work, it's gonna be more expensive. It's already getting expensive out here. Food's gonna be more expensive because the transportation costs on top of these tariffs that's already existing. It's gonna be a squeeze. Okay, that's what the locust represented. That squeeze, right? And it's gonna be a transition, if you will, to the squeeze. A lot of people gonna look up. It's gonna be dead in their face before they know it. Okay. Verse 4: Awake, ye drunkards, and weep, and howl, all ye drinkers of wine, because of the new wine, for it is cut off from your mouth. Right. So the new wine are just drinking. People ain't gonna have the money. Uh, People ain't gonna have the money to go out there and drink anymore, man. It's not gonna be readily available. People gonna have to deal with their certain demons that they have. A lot of times people utilize drinking as a numbing agent. Man, stressed out, you take it, get you a little drink, you get a little beer. Well, one of that beer is not available. Then you got to deal, right? A lot of people have been using escapism for a long fucking time in this world, man. This drug, that drug, this antidepressant, that shot going out. Well, when all that's taken away, guess what? You're gonna have to handle your business, bro. Mentally speaking, right? And we're being attacked on all fronts, brothers. On all levels in our life, we're being attacked. And we've been used, we have gotten used, I should say, to this poison. And a huge part of elevating is purging yourself from this poison that we have gotten used to, bro. And that poison is a plethora of things. The food that we eat, the music, bro. We are knee deep in some bullshit, man. Knee deep in it. That's why it's so important to fast. Man, it's important, man. Okay? All right? Verse 6. Actually, I'll read 5 again. Awake, ye drunkards, and weep and howl, all ye drinkers of wine, because of the new wine, for it is cut off from your mouth. For a nation is come up upon my land strong and without number, whose teeth are the teeth of lion, and he had the cheek teeth of a great lion. Let's see if I can get that for you. A cheek teeth means talking about the fangs, right? Which is used to bite, right? To break bones. Okay. He hath laid my He hath laid my vine waste and walked my fig tree. He hath made it clean bare and cast it away. The breaches thereof are made right. What does that mean? Well, that means the vineyard basically was ransacked, right? Well, this is going to happen to America. Goods are not going to be readily available, brothers. This is going to be a test for all of us. Some of us have small children. Some of us have family members that we take care of. Some of, hey, we got, sometimes the hardest thing to do really is take care of yourself, right? A brother might be single, but shit, there's a lot of demons that come with being single, being by yourself, man. It's loneliness, right? Sometimes you just, as a single man, you get longer to where you just become desensitized to living. You're like, I ain't got no kids. What? Why should I be? I don't mind not living or being unalive. You know what I'm saying? A sense of nothingness, meaningless. If I'm saying that right, it's tongue tied, twisted for me. It can get difficult, bro. It can get very difficult, right? But that these feelings, you know what I'm saying, these demons are only going to amplify, as the days progress, and that's why it's so important for us, to lean on Yahweh Shai, man, and build up that relationship while you can. That's where it's at right there. Building up your relationship with Yahweh Shai. Nothing else really matters. Okay? That relationship with Yahweh Shai, that's going to keep you grounded. Hey, we're starting to see brothers out there, well, ex-brothers out there, that didn't have that true relationship, Hakai, Alazar, freaky ass, they ain't had that true relationship. Now look at them, right? You know what I'm saying? Now look at them. They're gone out their damn mind. They're bugged out before all hell's about to break loose. Hey, they'll get set up for a sore judgment, brother. And it's not gonna be nothing nice, right? So we have to know why we're individually in this thing for. I'm in here to get a covering for myself and my family. That's why I'm here. I want to be one of those ones. I want to be liked by Yahweh Shai. When Yahweh Shai come, I don't want him to look at me like this bitch ass nigga, this whole ass nigga. I want to be seen as that's the man. Hey man, you all right with me, bro? You trying, bro? Right? But within that, hey, you gotta put it down. We gotta put it down. So how can you put it down? By bettering yourself, by fasting. One way in which you can better yourself is fasting, brothers. Okay? Back to it. Verse 7 again. He hath laid my vineyard waste and barked my fig tree when he shook it. Right? He hath made it clear, bare, and cast it away. The branches thereof are made white. Lament like a virgin girded with sackcloth for the husband of her youth. So he's saying, hey, we need to lament like somebody, who lost their husband. Right? Hey, the meat offering and the drink offering is cut off from the house of Yahweh. The priests and the Lord's ministers mourn. The field is wasted. The land mourneth, for the corn is wasted. The new wine is dried up, and the oil languisheth. Be ashamed, O ye husbandmen, farmers, and that's going on now. Look at American farmers. They lamenting like a mug. Why is that? Because these various tariffs, they can't make a living. They're in the red. You guys, a lot of them killing themselves, man. Okay, you can blame that on truth. Okay, be ye ashamed, O ye husbandmen, how, O ye vine dressers, for the wheat and for the barley, because the harvest of the field is perished. The vine is dried up, and the fig tree languisheth, the pomegranate tree and the palm tree also, and the apple tree, even all the trees of the field are withered, because joy is withered away from the sons of men. Gird yourself and lament, you priests, how, you ministers of the altar. Come, lie all night in sackcloth, in ye ministers of my power. For the meat offering and the drink offering is withholden from the house of our God. Sanctify ye a fast. That's the point. That's the point, brothers. Sanctify a fast, bros. Sometimes you got to use certain fasts in order to get over certain demons that you're dealing with. And sometimes you got to be persistent about fasting. Right? Sanctify ye a fast the call assembly, a solemn assembly, gather the elders and all the inhabitants of the land into the house of of Yahweh your power, and cry upon, excuse me, unto Yahweh. Yep. So we have to say, sometimes you have to fast in order to get yourself together for certain things that are about to take place, or certain hardships, get over certain demons. Okay. And this is something that Yahweh told us that we would have to do. We would have to do. When he left the earth, and we can prove that by what? By going to let's go to Mark 2:18, and we'll go to Mark 9:29. All right. I got to kind of speed up because my dang on battery's about to go, so I gotta come on with it. Most I wouldn't have edifying thus far. Mark 2:18, and the disciples of John and of the Pharisees used to fast, and they come and say unto him, why do the disciples of John and of the Pharisees fast, but thy disciples fast not? And Yahushua said unto them, can the children of the bride chamber fast while the bridegroom is with them? As long as they have the bridegroom with them, they cannot fast. But the days will come when the bridegroom shall be taken away from them, and then shall they fast in those days. And we in the days when Yahushua is not here. That's why fasting is so important. Trying our best to get closer to him, making strong endeavors to get closer to him, man. You know what I'm saying? Fasting helps us do that. You know? With us fasting, we're able to cast down certain demons. All right? Now this is Mark 9:24. I'll get straight to it. At 28, there was a guy who was seeking for prayer because his son had a demonic spirit on him, where he was, smiting himself, hitting himself, jumping into fire. I perceived the man was basically mentally retarded. He was able to fast, and get that particular demon off of him. Well, let me backtrack. Yahushua was able to heal them, heal that man. The disciples asked, how come we couldn't heal him? He's like, well, certain demons have to be taken away by fasting. Okay. Mark 9:28. And when he was coming to the house, his disciple asked him privately, why could not we cast him out? Talking about that demon, right? And he said unto them, this kind can come forth by nothing but by prayer and fasting. So sometimes in order to get rid of certain demons, you have to pray and you have to fast. Okay? All right, now let's go to James. Let's go to James 5:16. Let's go to James 5:16. We're gonna get one more. That'll be it. James. Don't do me like that. Queen is getting on me. James 5. James 5:16. Confess your faults one to another and pray one for another that ye may be healed. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. So, having this brotherhood, being able to ask for prayer is something that's very important. Being able to go to a brother and talk to him, that's very important. Right now, couple that with fasting, you got you a spiritual stud missing, and that's the brother Taz, the priest of my camp, soldier of Yahweh Shai, posted my last script. Tobit 12:8. Prayer is good with fasting and alms and righteousness A little with righteousness is better than much with unrighteousness. It is better to give alms than to lay up gold. And the point was in the first sentence. Prayer is good with fasting and alms and righteousness. Right? So that prayer, the fasting, ask brother, hey man, pray for me, man. I'm just doing this demon. Pray for me. Let me get this. I'm trying to get this shit together. Right? Fast, then okay, now you don't acknowledge you got the demon on you. Fast. That's gonna help you get better, man. That's gonna help us get better. Right? So fasting is a very important tool to get closer to Yahweh Shah. Right? Yahweh by Yeshim Yahweh Shah. Right? All right. So I pray this is edifying for y'all. Wish I could go longer, but the Spirit's gonna do what it's do. I got it. I should have charged my phone, but hey, hope it's edifying for you guys, man. Giving all praise to my Heavenly Father, Yahweh, by Yeshim, Yahweh Shah, by Yeshim, Shalom.